I have a very special vlog for you guys today. I got a call from Skull Mike at the Lodge Poker Room asking me if I'd be interested in playing in an $1,100 18-person sit and go, where first place is going to be $10,000. Of course I said yes, so we're hopping over there. It's about a 2-hour drive and I'm super excited to go play, and it's gonna be live streamed, so I'm gonna be able to get all these hands for the vlog. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you there at the Lodge Poker Room in Round Rock, Texas. Well, like I said, we are in for a very special vlog today as I'm going to be playing against some of Austin's best tournament players. So this lineup is not an easy one. There's some really tough competition in this one, although I don't prefer to play against tough opponents for obvious reasons. When I do get the chance to battle against some tough opponents, I love rising to the challenge and seeing where I'm at and how I can navigate playing better players. So let's get into it. $1,100 sit and go. First place is $10,000, 20-minute levels, 30k starting stack, and generally in these 18-player sit and goes, the strategy should lean more towards being tight aggressive. So anyway, let's get into some hands. Since we have the luxury of seeing every hand I play in this 18-player sit and go, I'm going to try and show them all to you. And one of the first hands I get involved with, we are in hand 7 of this sit and go, and I look down at 6-7 offsuit as it folds around to me on the button. We're going to raise this one up and try to play a pot in position against the big blind, but they both fold and we take down our very first pot. So in the first level of this tournament, I only played that one hand, raising the 6-7 offsuit, so we've been pretty card dead. However, we are only 20 minutes into this thing, so now blinds have gone up to 100, 200, 200. It folds around to Joel in the low jack, and he raises to 500. It folds around to me, and I look down at ace-9 of clubs on the button. I don't really know much about Joel at all, but just from what I've gathered, I assume he's more on the tight aggressive side. As you can see, we can go either way between 3-betting the ace-9 of clubs here, and as you can see, because we are on the button, we are incentivized to flat so many hands here, but we can turn some hands into 3-bets. We don't have a lot of time in this 20-minute blind structure, so I'm going to elect to 3-bet it, and I make it 1,500. We don't have to make it too big being in position, so 3x is totally fine. We should be able to get heads up with Joel being in position a ton of the time, or just get folds if he is raising a very loose range from the low jack. However, now it's on the big blind and he elects to put in the cold 4-bet to 4,100. Joel folds pretty quickly, so my assessment was right. He was probably raising a pretty wide range there, which he did indeed have the king 10 offsuit. Now it's on me, and once we elect to turn this hand into a 3-bet, I think it's a mistake to put in a call here, and as you can see, our hand is a pure fold. We do have some calls, but being in position here, and if we decide to call this 4-bet, we need to have a hand that not only has board coverage, but also can play well post-flop, and this hand just doesn't. So for all these reasons, we are going to put in the fold. Just a pretty unlucky spot with the timing, but we're going to move on to the next one. In this hand, we get a limp from TM, which I thought was very interesting. You don't see a lot of limps, especially from the hijack, so I'm going to assume that this is a fairly weak hand. Folds around to mix in on the button, and he comes along as well, and then I look down at ace-4 of diamonds in the big blind. I don't think I'm going to be getting a ton of folds in this spot. Being out of position, let's just see a flop and try to flop something good. So we head to a flop of king 7-6 with 2 hearts and 1 diamond. It checks over to TM, and he's going to put out a bet of 400. Mixin makes the fold, and now it's on me. We have backdoor straight draw and backdoor diamonds, plus our ace out is probably likely good. I have no idea how TM is constructing his limping range. It could consist of hands like maybe 5-6 suited, maybe some offsuit hands like 9-10 off, I don't know, something like that. But anyway, we're not gonna fold for almost 1 big blind with our backdoor equity and our ace high, so I put in the call. The turn is the 5 of hearts, and now we have an open ender. I check it over to TM and he checks back, so now we are going to head to a river card. And I would assume his hand is fairly weak at this point, and maybe when I turn the open ender I should be leading here and then planning to bet the river. However, I was also contemplating check raising if he put a bet out, because he really shouldn't have that many suited hands in the hijack after limping. He should really only have some offsuit hands, because I would assume any hands like, let's say for example 9-10 of hearts, or any hand with 2 hearts in them would have raised pre-flop. So we head to a river card. The river is the queen of hearts, which puts a 4-liner to a heart flush out there. We can't win if we check, so we need to put in a bet. After looking at the pot, I thought the pot was something like 1,800, but I miscalculated a little bit. The pot was 2,200. I think I need to go fairly large to get some folds here, plus we can fold out all of his non-heart hands, a lot of his hands that turned a pair and a straight draw, stuff like that. I don't know how often his king X will fold, but again, because he limped pre-flop, he's very unlikely to have a strong made hand. So I put out a bet of 1,300, however, I would have loved to see myself go a little bit bigger, so this was definitely a misstep. However, TM goes into the tank, thinks for a little bit, and then ends up making the call, and he had 10 8 offsuit. So after seeing that hand, it kind of let me know a little bit of TM's range. He's going to be limping a lot of hands. He's going to be in the mix, trying to play a lot of pots. So very unorthodox limp there with the 10-8 offsuit, and we should have bet a little bit bigger to try and get this bluff through, or maybe started leading on the turn. So anyway, we're going to shake this one off, learn from it, and move on to the next one. In this hand, we play one of the biggest pots of the night, where Brendan raises under the gun 1 to 700 at blind level 200, 300, 300. It folds around to the button and he looks down at 9-8 of spades. He's gonna peel here with his suited connector, and then I'm next to act in the small blind and look down at ace king offsuit. We're at the top of our range, but we are out of position. We're definitely going to be putting in the 3-bet, so being out of position, we're gonna make it about 10 big blinds, so I raise to 3,500. It folds back around to Brendan and he wants to play for more and puts in the 4-bet to 9,000. The button folds and now it's on me. In a normal MTT payout structure, I know my strategy in this spot, 80 big blinds deep with ace king offsuit, as you can see, is a pure rip. We're just going to be all in. We're going to give ourselves an easy decision, and if our opponent has it, he has it. But we don't want to put ourselves in a tough spot post flop, especially being out of position against a very, very capable opponent like Brendan. But because of the sit and go strategy and only 18 players were top 3 pay, I thought I was supposed to lean a little bit more into the less variance route here. But after talking to my poker coach, he did tell me that you should just play this spot as if you're in the early stages of a normal MTT payout structure. So that being said, I definitely learned in this spot to just kind of go for it like I would have in a normal NTT. But like I said, because of my mentality about playing a little bit tighter, I did elect to flat. So we are going to take this one to the streets. So we head to a flop of queen 5 deuce with all hearts, and lucky for us, we do have the ace of hearts in our hand and 2 overs. While this isn't the best flop for us, it's also not the worst. So of course, in this 4-bet pot, being out of position, we're not going to do anything except check it over to our opponent. I was really hoping to see Brendan put in a small bet here, and indeed he does. He bets 5,500. SPR is already extremely shallow. We both are playing a huge pot, and neither one of us want to bust and be the first person out of the sit and go, so we're going to tread with caution. I put in the call and we head to a turn card. The turn is a 7 of spades, and now I'm really hoping because of this monotone texture, if Brendan doesn't have super premium like aces, kings, or pocket queens, or ace queen, that he will elect to check back. And the poker gods heard my prayers because he does indeed put in the check. We head to a river card, which is very interesting. It is the ace of clubs, so now I'm feeling pretty good about my hand. However, Brendan can still have us beat. He can still retain a hand like pocket aces, ace queen, pocket queens, or in some cases a flush. And he can also still have some bluffs that he might decide to rip this river with. So because of all those reasons, we are going to check. Brendan thinks for a bit and then checks behind. I flip over my hand and he gives us the head nod, and Brendan had ace 4 of diamonds. So Brendan did have one of those hands that was a 4-bet bluff. We kept him in there with a worse one and extracted a little bit more value. However, in a vacuum, after talking to my poker coach, we should just be ripping in our 80 bigs pre-flop. It was a bit scary given the structure and did not want to drive 2 hours to Austin and bust first one out. That is the risk we're always willing to take in poker tournaments. It worked out and we pick up a very nice pot and we are finally headed in the right direction. In this hand, it folds around to Joel in the cutoff and he raises to 1,000 at 200, 400, 400, and in this hand, we're about 70 big blinds effective. I looked down at 9-5 offsuit in the big blind, and at the time I thought this was a defend, but when I checked later, it's actually just a fold, and I almost folded pre-flop. But with not many opportunities to make hands in this 20-minute structure, I decided to peel and see if we can't take this one down. So we head to a flop of king 9-3 with 2 hearts. We're not going to do anything other than check on this king high board to the pre-flop raiser, so I put in the check, and then Joel puts out a 1 big blind bet of 400. This is a good bet on a king high board. He wants to bet small and keep my whole range in, and that means he's going to be betting his entire range on this board. So of course we're happy to peel here as we hit a pair of 9s, and so we're going to head to a turn card. The turn is the 6 of clubs, not changing much, and I check yet again, and Joel puts out a bet of 1,200. This is only a 3 big blind bet for this price, and given the fact that we have a pair, there is a double flush draw on board, and my opponent can have a ton of bluff still left in this spot, we are going to make the call yet again. The river is an offsuit 3. I elect to check and see what Joel does. Joel then puts out a chunky bet of 3,800, almost a 10 big blind bet on the river. At the time, I felt Joel was repping a very polarized range here, probably
play a hand like aces, ace king, or a very strong king x holding, I block him having a full house with a set of 9s. The 3 pairing on the river means it's less likely he has a 3 because I don't think he'd continue barreling that on the turn. He can have a lot of missed flush draws like heart draws and backdoor spades, and some of his other intuitive bluffs are going to be like queen jack, queen 10, jack 10, and against this player field, again, I don't know much about Joel's game, but I think in this spot, given the price and the run out, I think I need to look him up here. I think he's going to show up with enough bluffs in this spot where I'm justified to make the call. However, I put in the call and Joel just has ace king of spades for a super top of range strong hand, and this reminded me that players just don't bluff as much as they should and they show up with it more times than they don't. So unfortunately we lose a pretty chunky one here, but now we know and have gained some information and we'll try to use that later on. In this hand, I look down at the beautiful Jack 10 of hearts in the low jack, and so I raise to 1300 at blind level, 300, 600, 600, and in this one, we're about 85 big blinds effective. It folds around to Ryan in the cutoff, and he puts in the 3-bet to 3600. This is like the 3rd or 4th time he's put in a 3-bet, so he's either picking up hands or he's just fairly active. Folds back around to me, and with Jack 10 suited here, even though we're out of position, we have a pure call, so we are going to head to the flop. The flop is Jack 7-3 with 2 spades, so we flop top pair. I check it over to Ryan and he puts out a bet of 4,500. This is a really good bet by him on this board. I'm gonna have a lot of continues and he can get value with all of his good hands, and he can bluff with his hands like ace queen and ace king, which he's gonna have a ton of combos of the suited and offsuit varieties. So of course, flopping top pair against a good opponent, we're going to put in the call and see a turn card. The turn is a 9 of hearts, giving me even more outs, so now I can hit another jack, a 10, or an 8 to make a straight. We're not going to do anything other than check. Now Ryan puts out another half-ish pot bet of 8,000. So this is kind of the leverage spot in the hand. I have to decide if I still think he has enough bluffs, and the answer in my head at the time was yes. I also, as you can see, have been eyeing him down. He looked very uncomfortable and nervous, so I was also picking up some live tells that he might have been a little bit weak, or he could just be nervous as his hand may be vulnerable. Even if he has a hand like aces, kings, or queens, he could still be a little bit nervous depending on the run out. And as you can see, our hand is still a call here and actually jams some of the time to deny equity against hands like ace king and ace queen. So with all these things in mind, I don't think I can fold just yet, so I put in the call and we head to a river card, which is an offsuit ace. So now I'm going to check yet again, praying to get to showdown, hoping that Ryan doesn't empty the clip, and maybe possibly our pair of jacks is good because we don't improve our hand. I check and Ryan snap checks back, so at this point I'm thinking there's maybe a chance he gave up with some of his bluffs, and sure enough, Ryan had pocket queens, so a little bit unfortunate of a flop for us and a turn, because if that turn card doesn't come, I can easily put in the fold if our hand doesn't improve, but because we did pick up some additional outs, I can't fold just yet, especially against that kind of player who's capable of having bluffs. So anyway, a little bit unlucky, but we're gonna move on to the next one. In this hand, I'm under the gun one and look down at pocket queens, and we are about 30 big blinds effective. Folds around to Ryan, the one who's woke up with queens almost every single time that I've put in a raise pre-flop, and he puts in a 3-bet yet again, but this time he has the ace deuce of clubs, so it really makes me feel a lot better about the call down with the jack 10 of hearts after seeing him 3-bet this one. But then Brendan wakes up with ace king, and he's pretty short stacked, so he rips all in. Folds back around to me, of course, for making the call. Ryan gets out of the way, so now we are headed for a massive flip here for about 60 big blinds. Here's what happened.
Big Slick versus the ladies for 30,100. And this is for Brendan's tournament life. There's the king.
I have a flush draw.
Ace 4 of clubs. Ace,
Close to
ace 6 of
Only
clubs.
one queen remains as Mixon folded a queen pre.
Wow.
Unlucky for Ash.
So unfortunately, Brendan hits a king, and now we are definitely the shortest stack at the table, and we have some work to do. So now as the blinds have gone up and around, we find ourselves with a little over 5 big blinds. We're in the hijack. We have ace 3 offsuit, so of course we're all in. Then Ian in the small blind decides to reshove with his king 9 of clubs. The others fold, so now we are going heads up all in for our tournament life. Here's what happened.
Ash in the lead. Ian, an ambitious spot here to choose. Behind's going to need to spike a king or a 9 or some running clubs.
One time, Phil.
Only 3 outs remaining for Ian, as some of the other outs are dead. But that's a sweaty turn card.
Picks up a bunch of club outs. But it doesn't come. The ace.
I'm not picky.
And Ash says, I do not want to go home yet.
We find a way to hold, and we do pick up the double, so now we have over 10 big blinds, and we still have a chance in this thing.
The old victory swig.
Take a swig, Topo Chico.
Now, I have about 12 big blinds, and it folds to me, and I'm under the gun too, and look down at ace jack offsuit. We're all in, and luckily everybody folds, so we do pick up a few more big blinds, and now things are headed in the right way. So now after that hand, it was time to go on a 15-minute break, the first break of the day, and Slick Rick asked if I'd be willing to do an interview, of course. So I got to talk a little bit about my journey with commentating, because this December in Vegas, I got to commentate on the main event at the WPT, the $10,400 tournament, alongside Henry Kilbane. So I talk a little bit about that. Enjoy some of the interview.
Well, hello, Chatsville. Safi here with Poker Face Ash. How's it going? How's the tournament going so far?
It's fun. Yeah, it's good.
Good. You've accomplished a lot last year. Do you have any poker goals set for 2024?
I think I just want to do things bigger and better. So just keep doing what I've been doing, work hard, study, and just try to play my best.
Great. We look forward to seeing what you accomplish this year. What are your thoughts on this talented field we have going today?
It's fun. I'm always up for a challenge. I love to push myself, especially in everything I do, in poker as well, and just playing against talented players that are good. It's not only like great practice, but also just a kind of a good gauge to see where you're at and how you shape up against really good players.
We've seen you commentating on a few streams this year. What do you like about commentating?
It's a great question. I just know that I love it. I think it's fun to just watch poker in general, and then being able to kind of shed a little insight and also add in your own thoughts and some opinions on things is fun too. And it kind of came natural to me just having a poker blog. So just being able to talk about hands, talk through them, try to figure out what the players are thinking, I think is a really fun aspect to it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Enjoy your break. We'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
Back to y'all in the bunker.
Since I'm playing a poker tournament today, I thought it was the perfect time to let you guys know some insanely exciting news. I am headed for the first time ever to Mexico City, where I'm going to be playing at the Palace Series of Poker. It's going to be an amazing poker series at Palace Poker from February 28th through March 11th. And during that time, they're going to have an amazing opener event. They're also going to have an $1,140 high roller, as well as a big main event, $570 buy-in with a huge guarantee. There's all sorts of guaranteed prize pools in these. Come out to Mexico City, enjoy the culture, the food with me. It's going to be an absolute blast. So I hope to see you guys at Palace Poker for the PSOP. So unfortunately, blinds went up and around and I couldn't find any spots. I was pretty card dead. And then I'm in the small blind, it folds around to me, and I have a queen jack offsuit with just a few big blinds. Ryan has to call with pretty much any two. He has 9-8 offsuit, so we are off to the races. It's about a 60-40, and here's what happened.
Not much more to call. All the chips out of the big blind completes. Slight favorite Ash. Can she survive, or will she be eliminated?
There's a 9, right, 2 9s. Ash in deep trouble, looking for a 10 ball.
10 and a 10 only, and she is making her way towards the door.
Unfortunately, Ryan outflops me. We still were able to try and hit the gutter, but we did not, and we are out. Well, we finished 13th out of the 18 players. Sadly, we are in for $1,100 and out for 0. But since Caitlin also busted, we decided to head to the Losers Lounge and have some dinner. We tried this new spot in Austin called Red Farm, and honestly, Chinese food isn't my favorite. However, it was pretty good. I'm not sure if I'd go back again personally, but that's just my taste. But if you like Chinese food, make sure you check it out. It's farm to table, and the food was delicious. Well, we had our drinks and our meal, and now it's time to make the drive back home. So we were in this $1,000 sit and go for, well, $1,000, and it cashed out with 0, the big old goose egg, but had an absolute blast. And if you guys are wondering what I use to track all of my poker stats, I use Poker Analytics. I can't recommend them enough. It gets the job done. It's very easy, intuitive to use, and it's a great app, and I hope you guys will give it a shot. Go download it right now.
If you guys enjoyed the vlog, would you do me a huge favor and go all in and like, comment, and subscribe? It would mean the world to me. We are just getting started. It's only up from here, and I'll see you guys next time.